guess just call me back when you have a chance. Bye. Hi. It's me. I miss your face. I was just calling to say hi. Call me back.
Thank you so much for coming out here with me, Christopher. I'm having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you're having a blast. I am so out of breath.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm really trying to help you guys. I need you guys to help me too. Like,
yes,
we'll
ma'am.
do this as a team, but just don't
So
fucking let me down,
the
please.
reason why we can't, like, I did think about this yesterday, that I would like to sit down with you once we have your text messages and the phone calls, and we can put them in a some type of easily looking, that we can sit down and look at them and compare them, and we can kind of get the context of how everything was going that night. I would like to do that with you. Unfortunately, so the download that we got yesterday is going to take multiple days to be analyzed. I probably won't have it back till next week. And then because you guys did have so many text messages, one of my analysts is working on getting those in order, so we can put something together where we can actually sit down and discuss it. But I do think that's something that I want to do in the near future, sometime probably next week.
I mean, I can do that. I don't mind giving you guys my time. I just need you guys to, like, help me with my employer and try to just help me brace for this media thing.
I'm with you. We definitely need to accelerate the case, because the more it takes, the less sure that they are of situation.
He murdered her. She's out of the picture. You're never going to know if she was pregnant. If he can get away with murder, you're not going to. I got divorced from my wife. You say, do you understand what I'm saying here? If she's gone,
But this...
Don't lead.
Hypothetically.
Please.
Yeah.
Don't
Hypothetically.
lead on.
If she,
Okay.
You understand where I'm going. If
Right,
you
but
didn't know.
You're leading into questions that are nothing with your.
If you didn't know, though.
Wait, Nick.
That she was there.
Did you hear what I said?
I'm following.
Stop asking about it. She didn't have anything to do with it. She wasn't there that morning. She voluntarily cooperated with law enforcement. She provided us all the information. I'm not going to tell you where she's at. Stop. Leave me alone.
I'm not going to tell you where she's at. Stop. Leave me alone. District Attorney Michael J. Rourke. So if we were playing, Watts case trivia, of course, if you guys were studying for that, because maybe we should do that someday. I think that would be really fun. That, of course, would be a question in the trivia game, soundbite, and who is this? And of course, it is the Honorable District Attorney Michael J. Rourke, who's, his wife, Kim Corbin, who featured him in an episode of her podcast, Survivor's Guide to True Crime. Now, I do want to tell you, I just recently was looking for that podcast episode when I was working on some content for you guys, because a lot was said in that content episode. Let me just fix my camera there, the angle. Yep. And I was looking for a certain sound clip that I had not yet included. So when I was looking for that sound clip that is on a certain episode called Prosecutorial, oh gosh, I can't remember it now. Prosecutorial Vicarious Drama, featuring the Honorable Michael J. Rourke. Quite a title, featuring the Honorable Michael J. Rourke. Anyhow, I couldn't find it. I could find the podcast, but I could not play anything on the podcast. It wasn't just that episode, because I'd heard that episode was taken down. I personally did not see any evidence of that. Anytime I had looked for it before, I was able to find it. But I could not play anything in the podcast. So I don't know if they just stopped doing the podcast, if there's a reason why they stopped doing the podcast. I guess if they did stop doing the podcast, there's probably a reason why. My question, I guess, my interest would be, does it have anything to do with her husband, Michael J. Rourke? And does it have anything to do with that episode in particular, where she interviewed him and he talked a lot about the Watts case, and we heard and observed a number of things that were pretty troubling to us, right? So welcome to everybody who's here. I don't know if I said welcome or welcome back to Watts the Obsession yet. This is the second Watts live stream for this weekend. The next live stream I do will not be of a Watts nature. It will most likely be having to do with the Delphi case, and possibly and hopefully eventually soon the jury's verdict. Well, we know it's not going to happen tomorrow because tomorrow is Sunday. Courts generally are not in session on Veterans Day here in the United States, and Monday's Day is Veterans Day, but I wonder if due to the nature of the work at hand, the jury for the trial of Richard Allen for the murders of Abby Williams and Liberty German in Delphi, Indiana, if the jury will in fact be deliberating on that day. We went on jury watch on Thursday, and I all along have felt that there is going to be a hung jury, and with every passing moment, I more so believe that. So be looking out for that. We will definitely be discussing that. I just watched a really great little podcast YouTube episode. It was a roundtable with 3 attorneys that I followed who were live in Delphi during the case: Bob Mata, Andrea Burkhart, and Lawyer Lee. Lawyer Lee being my favorite. I just love her for some reason. They just put out an episode last night where it's just the 3 of them talking about the legal issues and the procedural issues that presented themselves in the Delphi case, and why following this case and arriving eventually at justice in this case is so critically important. I'll find the link for that. If anybody wants to watch that or is interested in the Delphi case, I would certainly highly recommend it. Do I know Nancy and my girl? My Nancy's in the house. Nancy, I don't know if you watched last night's live stream on replay, but you were featured a couple of times. I did read your attempted reply to that Reddit post. Hope you don't mind about, all of that. Swampside Chick, welcome. How are you doing? Hey, Shiny Star, welcome. How's it going? Hey, Sherry, glad you're feeling good today. Hey, Allison Wonderland, Honey Bun, Moon, Bose Moon. Oh, says my favorite Watts content creator. Kelly, you are the best. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you very much. Hey, Pepper, thanks for all you do. Manda K, loved your email. I replied to you and asked if I can talk about your thoughts sometime during a live stream. I would love to do that. We're not going to talk about Nightgate tonight, but yeah, that was great. Manda K says, he said, I think she's referring to District Attorney Michael J. Rourke. You're leading into, Nicole Kessinger's dad said during that interview that he should not have been at. You're leading into questions that not with your what, right? No, what I'm saying, your what, right? Oh, then he says, did you hear what I said? Right. What was Dwayne Kessinger talking about? I almost asked the same question last night. We were really very much on the same wavelength. I want to know the rest of what he was going to say. I very much too as well. Hey, Veronica, how are you doing? Welcome. Nice to see you. Hey, LJ, welcome. How's it going? Keschik, Stephanie, how are you doing? Char Shorts, welcome. How are you doing? Char says, I live in Thornton. Just a heads up, I'm not far from NK's old apartment. Well, yeah, Thornton is right around the corner from where Nicole Kessinger lived during the time she was dating Chris Watts. Char Shorts, did you live there during the time when this crime happened? Very interested to know that. And do you know anything that we, the general public, may not know due to your proximity to where everything went down? Hi, Gracie. Welcome. How are you doing? Kevin, how's it going? So nice to see you as always. Lisa Weldon, hi. How are you doing? Can Dwayne Kessinger and MR be voted off the island? And Michael Rourke, yeah, let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's do it tonight. Hey, Jessica, welcome. How are you doing? Hey, Susan Peterson, how are you? Hi, Valerie. Always great to see you. And I'm just going to go down to the bottom. If I missed anyone, it's because I didn't go up high enough, probably. And I'm sorry about that. Just say hello. I'll try to say hello back. Hey, Becky Boo, great to see you. In regards to, I think, the Delphi case, Becky Boo says, it didn't seem like they had much evidence from what I've seen. The prosecution did not prove the case. I would be so shocked and dismayed and highly troubled if the jury came back with a guilty verdict at this point. We'll talk about that another time, though. Hi, Cowboy RC. How are you doing? I know I've made you guys wait, and thank you so much for being patient. I appreciate all of you so much. Trying to hop down to current times here. Want to swim, Mrs. Wheeler? Great name. Hi, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Maria, hi, how's it going? Maria made it. Awesome. We're so glad you're here, Maria. Aussie True Crime, how are you doing? Welcome. It's nice to have you here. And yes, Kez is beautiful. We love Kez. Shiny Star says, just when NK was about to answer, her dumb dad had to interrupt, right? Just one of the many reasons why he should have never been there in the first place. crazy. Deception Detective makes some really good points about why he never should have been there that I hadn't thought of. Yeah, Nancy, Mrs. Wheeler is in the house. So, all right. So tonight, I am going to open up panel. If anybody does want to come up on panel, just let me know. We did do a live stream last night that was just talking about the family dynamics and the relationship dynamics. In that case, it was a really long live stream. This tonight is not going to be nearly as long. I did not get enough sleep last night, but it was great. I was so happy to talk with all of you guys. But just so you know, it's not going to be that long tonight. And I said, yeah, well, we'll kind of pick up where we left off here, but I changed gears a little bit. We're still talking about the Watts case, but I want to talk about what happened in the Watts basement. So a few months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, I put out a video that we're going to watch some of. I know many of you have watched it because there's over 250,000 views. So that's very highly viewed video for my channel. So I know a lot of you have watched it, but I want to discuss things and also add more to it. Because after I made this video, first of all, I learned some things about what happened, particularly with Nicole Kessinger's involvement in the case, and in even more particularity, Nicole Kessinger's involvement in the case and what law enforcement knew about that they, in the district attorney's office, that they never, ever want us to know that they knew, because it is highly problematic. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to talk too much about it in vague terms because I understand that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I heard you loud and clear. I heard all of those voices. For legal reasons, as you might surmise, I can't talk too much more about it. Some of you already, heard what I disclose, I guess, prematurely. And I think I am actually going to talk about it more in detail in a members live stream soon. I don't mean to disclude anybody, but I just can't talk about it in a public YouTube forum right now. I simply cannot. I was going to do that after tonight, but I'm a little too tired to do that. So we will do that very soon. So all of that is in fact connected to what happened in the Watts basement. And because I know what I know, and I've been able to come to the conclusions that I have due to my research and your help and your information and your tips and what other people have researched, and then just my own, kind of compulsion to need to put it all together and try to create a clear picture, I've been able to determine some more things about the basement, including the fact that Chris Watts did not ever sleep down in the basement. There's one possible night where it is possible, feasible, and surmisable that he may have stayed down in the basement, which is really very curious. I'm going to tell you all about that in a little bit, how I figured that out and put that together. It's all, when you put the pieces together, it's right there. It's very clear, which is really curious because I understand why he may have possibly told Nicole Kessinger he was sleeping in the basement because of her jealousy issues. And even with Shanann not being home, I would be willing to bet that Nicole Kessinger did not want Chris Watts sleeping in the marital bed. Why? Because it's the pillory marital bed. Remember when she said she just saw the bed for a moment and she described it as being pillory? But, Nicole Kessinger told law enforcement he slept in the basement. He told law enforcement he slept in the basement. There's a lot of talk about him sleeping in the basement, which I think is a misplaced psychological projection that he's making. And I'm going to explain all this because boy did not sleep down in the basement, except for the possibility of one night, maybe. There was a bed down there, of course, because Shanann's parents slept down in the basement when they stayed with Shanann and Chris and the girls for 9 months, around the time right after Cece was born. But that was a while back. But they had that set up there and available, and all of that. Why, thank you, Alice in Wonderland. Appreciate it. It's the lighting. Thanks, guys. You're so sweet. Susan Peters says, Kelly, I just watched your Nutgate video. Really enjoyed it. I'm so glad. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Char Short said, the Majestic View Park video is on my page. So the Majestic View Park video. So what do you mean by that? Because I know the interview that Nicole Kessinger did in Majestic View Park, right? Was that where? Yeah. was audio, right? But you have a video of it. Is that what you're saying? I would love to know more about that. I'm going to check it out in a moment here when I can. And if you don't mind, if I can show some of them, that would be great. Hey, Stevie, how's it going? Nibble, nibble, bunny, bunny, jump, jump. We met some bunnies last night. Let's see. Whoops. Click, click. Stephanie says, What's the Obsession is my favorite watch channel. Thank you so much. And I've been on the island since the beginning. Well, I am so honored. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you so much. Veronica says, I would go to the jail and tell him, before I ask you any real questions, did you know that a YouTube channel called What's the Obsession, we all call Nicole Kessinger the skanky empanada? What do you think about that? I would freaking love to sit down and talk to Chris Watts or talk to him on the phone. I would love that. And I would kill that opportunity. I promise you all, I would deliver it for you. If only. So Ashar gives detail about the question I was asking about Majestic View Park and says, I have a video of the park where the interview is taken. That's what I meant to say. Awesome. Would you mind if I showed some of it, Char? Steady C says, why were they sleeping in the basement when they had a 5-bedroom house? We talked about this before. And, it does seem, it could seem a little off-putting that there was a spare bedroom that was dedicated just to being a playroom. Cece and Bella, little ones, both had their own bedroom. There was a bedroom that was an office. People said, oh, did they really need all that space and, shove the parents in the basement? But, my thought on that is we don't know. Maybe they wanted that situation because it offered more privacy. So we just don't know about that. But I mean, it's a legitimate question. Miss P says, Nicole Kessinger should be in jail. I tend to agree with you on that, in my opinion. Okay. Stephanie says, I wonder if there's any data on brown bikini sales in the United States since 2018. We can look into that. Great question. Hey, Kind Colorado, how are you doing? Hey, Jen's Gypsy, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Hey, E-Curb 12849. Nice to see you again. Glad you made it again. How awesome. Yeah, some channel says that Nicole Kessinger is living in Seattle. Well, when Kathleen McKenna Hootson, the author who wrote Blood and Marriage and writes another number of other true crime books, she's a friend of mine. She believes she does know some information about Nicole Kessinger, and I've discussed it with her off record. I believe that she believes she's in that area as well. I did hear that from another source too. I'm not so sure about it, but guys, I promise you that there is no other channel that knows her real name or has current pictures of her. I promise you. People keep telling me that, sending me emails, sending me messages about that. And I have invited the people to come on here and talk about it who've made those claims. I haven't gotten any response yet, but I promise you that nobody has those. Nobody has those. They just don't. But I would like for them to. I mean, that would be great. I hope somebody finds it. I certainly don't feel like I have to be, or don't even know if I'd want to be the one to come across all of that. I would like for someone to have that. Nicole Miller. When all of that came out, that profile saying, Nicole Kessinger is this person called Nicole Miller, and there were some other false profiles, and I sort of followed all of that in real time, and I don't believe that there's anything to that. There'd be no way of me proving that there's not, because I don't think it's provable that there is, if there were to be, right? So we're in a logical conundrum, but I don't believe that is the case. So I'm going to bring the video that I made about what happened in the basement into the stream. We're going to watch some of that to start off. And thank you guys so much for being here. Welcome to everybody who's coming in. We're so glad you're here. If you're new to the channel, please say hello, introduce yourself, let us know where you're from, what you think about this case, and we want everybody to participate. Please just be respectful to the victims, their family members, and one another in chat. That's all that we ask. And daughter of Zion says, I believe Nikki was in the basement that night. I believe that too. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read some of the comments after I bring this in. Yeah. Thanks for all the comments. I love it when people are having the conversation about what we're talking about. It's great. We always, all together, learn so much more that way.
Yep.
If you're wearing earbuds or headphones, or just so you know, anybody, the dog barks are very shrill here in the beginning, so just know that for your hearing protection and health.
Interesting, because immediately. Quiet. Are you trying to tell me something? Just need a break. Here, check. Something's upsetting up here. Yep, something's upsetting in here.
Yes, that's a quick one of us. Time for you, Nicole.
Cool.
105. You can attach me to that meet. I'll be on the same level.
Something's upsetting here, in this area. Here. Something's upsetting him here. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I started playing that in the middle of the video. I'm sorry.
Did you go down to the basement? I thought the basement door open.
Yeah, the door is open, but yeah.
Something's upsetting him here.
We will talk about that infamous basement, the reasons people speculate something nefarious and horrific may have happened in that basement, what Chris Watts himself had to say about that basement, including something that those of you who have more recently begun to follow this case probably do not know. There are a good number of people who speculate that Nicole Kessinger was in the basement at the time of the murders or after the murders in an effort to get rid of evidence. The question has long lingered. Was Nicole Kessinger, Chris Watts' former mistress, involved in this tragedy either before, during, or after the fact? Although the answer is still unknown, I am personally one of the people who believe there is more than enough evidence to show that Nicole Kessinger played some criminal part in this nightmare. As I've pointed out many a times, for God's sake, she says so herself.
You had read some newspaper articles on the 13th and the 14th that regarded this case. You had also had a conversation with Chris at some point during the day on Monday. And on Tuesday, because of what you found, specifically what you said was, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but you found out that his wife was pregnant.
Yes.
And you did not know that prior. And you found that out via the newspaper articles, and that caused you concern. What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what? When I deleted those? Yeah. I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but you just lied to me, and I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it. It was the hurt that made me delete it. And then it was the lie that made me start questioning everything else he'd been telling me for the last few days.
And that's when you decided to come forward?
Yes.
Okay.
Although I believe that Nicole Kessinger should be charged with obstruction of justice, and whatever charges are found to be legitimate after a proper and thorough investigation of this crime is done, that includes an investigation into her role before, during, or after the murders. I am simply unsure if she was in the basement the night of August 12th and or going into the early morning of August 13th when Shanann arrived home at 1:48 a.m. from her delayed flight back to Denver from Arizona. The hard evidence we have showing Nicole Kessinger was at or very near the Watts home during the time that matters is at 6:16 a.m. phone ping in Frederick, Colorado, placing her phone right near the house. Its location her phone had rarely registered ever, as far as we know. And as far as we know, it had never registered during the early morning hours. We also know the event immediately preceding the 6:16 a.m. ping, according to her phone records, is the end of the mysterious 111-minute phone call on Sunday evening, the evening before the murders that went from 9:28 p.m. to 11:19 p.m. The call that was significantly longer than any other call between Nicole Kessinger and Chris Watts, and it's also the call that is significantly longer than any other call that appears on her phone records for a period of 3 months. Must have been a big deal. It was a really long call. Now, please note this entire video is not going to be about Nicole Kessinger and asking the question, was she in the basement or not? This is just one of the pieces of the puzzle, one of the possibilities having to do with the Watts basement in the evening of August 12th, going into the early morning of August 13th, that has been posed by many people out there for a number of reasons, and we are going to go over exactly why that is. We're going to take a turn and talk about Sherilyn Cato's book, Letters from Christopher, and we're going to read some letters that Chris Watts actually sent this author, Sherilyn Cato. Now, I must say that Sherilyn Cato's books have come into question. People wonder, are they authentic? Some people say that a vast portion of one of her books was taken directly from the discovery. People have questioned if the words that she says are from Chris Watts really are or not. So I'm just going to tell you this. We do know that Sherilyn Cato did talk to Chris Watts. She spoke with him over the phone and she visited him. We can tell this from the prisoner visitation logs and the list of people that Chris was allowing to visit him at Dodge Correctional Facility. Chris Watts himself also talked about the fact that he did speak with Sherilyn Cato. With that being said, aside from the letters that Christopher Watts wrote Sherilyn Cato, which is really great record of what was said, Sherilyn did not record the phone calls with Chris Watts. She did take notes during her phone calls or when she visited him at the prison, but still, much of what she tells us is very difficult to verify. The things that I like to focus on are the words from Chris Watts directly through his letters, and then things that can be corroborated by other pieces of evidence, facts, or things that we know to be true. Nicole Ainson was Shanann's close friend. Shanann met Nicole Ainson because when her mother, Sandy, and her father, Frank, lived in Colorado with Chris Watts, Bella, and, well, Shanann was pregnant with Cece. Her mother, Sandy, worked in a salon, and she worked with Nicole Ainson. It is known that Shanann and Nicole Ainson did not hit it off right away. They did not become friends right away. And when they did become friends was when Shanann convinced Nicole Ainson to get involved with Thrive. After that happened, they became very close very quickly. It is Nicole Ainson who became alarmed after she dropped Shanann off at her house at 1:48 a.m. in the early morning hours of August 13th. She knew that Shanann had a mid-morning prenatal doctor's appointment.
Hi, Cece. My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. I dropped her off at her house at 2 in the morning last night because we were out of town together, and we were on the way back from the airport, and Cece was having issues, and she's pregnant, and I haven't been able to get a hold of her this morning, and I've gone to her house, and her car's there, and stuff like that, but she won't answer the door, she won't answer phone calls, she won't answer text messages, and I'm just really, really concerned. And she had a doctor's appointment this morning, and she didn't go to it. And
she also knew that the 13th was supposed to be Bella's first day of kindergarten.
And then he said that she went on a play date with her other two daughters, but like if she went on a play date, they're both in car seats. Why would she not take her car?
Nicole Ainson had just spent a long weekend with Shanann in Arizona for a Thrive business trip. And this was right after the 6 weeks that Shanann spent in North Carolina, when she started to watch her relationship unravel as her husband distanced himself from her dramatically. And it was over this past weekend when they were in Arizona that Shanann on Saturday night got the alert for the credit card that Chris used when he went out on his date with Nicole Kessinger to the Lazy Dog restaurant. And he said he had a beer and a salmon dinner, and the credit card was charged for a total that was much more than one beer and one salmon dinner would cost. After learning this information on that Arizona trip is when Shanann and her friends knew with some degree of certainty that Chris Watts was being unfaithful to Shanann.
We were out of town for work, and we flew in last night. Our flight got delayed, and I dropped her off at her house at 2 in the morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant, and she wasn't feeling well over the weekend, and she was very distraught and out of the sorts because her and her husband are having issues.
There are people, mostly YouTube channels, who have theorized that Nicole Atkinson did not in fact go home after she dropped Shanann off at 1:48 a.m. and she stayed the night in the Watts basement, and that she actually kind of knew what was really going on with Shanann, and this 911 call was staged, like she was part of the crime. Chris Watts has not implicated anyone else in this crime, and many believe, including myself, that his intense feelings for Nicole Kessinger would be enough reason for him to protect her, at least for now. But we know that Chris Watts was not in love with Nicole Atkinson. They weren't even particularly close. So let's take a look at what Cheryl Lynn Cadle shared with the world about what Chris Watts had to say about Nicole Atkinson through his letters to Cheryl Lynn Cadle. As far as Nicole Atkinson goes, I have nothing against her. She spent a lot of time with Shanann and knew that Shanann was upset at me and probably told her about the marital problems. When she didn't hear from Shanann the next day, she knew something was up, and she knew that Shanann always had her phone. Her actions at my house were out of a concerned friend who believed I had done something or caused my wife's depression over that weekend. She caused the police to come back a few minutes after they left to search my house and called up the news crews to come the day after. She was always nice to me, and when she came over, as I said, she was just a concerned friend. The YouTube issues I know nothing about. Nicole was a reserved woman that Shanann encouraged to put herself out and have herself more thrive. Nicole wasn't as shy as people think, but she wasn't outgoing as Shanann was. And when it came to direct sales, Shanann was her teacher. So after being home for only 2 days from North Carolina, Shanann spent the early morning hours of the 10th to the late evening hours of the 12th with her friends in Arizona at a Lavelle conference. You can see from the text and discovery how upset and distraught Shanann truly was, and that her friends were trying to console her, including Nicole Atkinson. Great friends. We all want to have friends like that, like Nicole Atkinson. Now, although we don't necessarily believe everything that Chris Watts says, and it's wise to be Now, I do want to say, because I've seen a lot, again, recently, this comes in waves. In the comment section of some of my videos, people asking about Nicole Atkinson, Shanann's friend, the person who called 911, her possible involvement in doing something nefarious having to do with this case and this tragedy, and also that, that phone call that was supposed to be Nicole Kessinger, the creepy giggles, and I miss your face, or whatever she says, is really Nicole Atkinson. I can tell you that is Nicole Kessinger. It's proven so in discovery. I can show you the documentation for that in just a little bit if you would like to see it, if anyone does need to see it. And I investigated the possibility, to its completeness, of Nicole Atkinson doing anything off color. I never thought it was a fact, but it was a question that came about, and she was there. And I just looked into everything because I did not come into this having a preconceived notion about how things needed to turn out in my mind. I now have a notion of what justice must be for these victims, for Shanann, baby Nico, Bella, and Celeste, because I know enough to now feel that way, right? But I can tell you, Nicole Atkinson did nothing bad or nefarious by any means. She was a great friend. In my opinion, she was a hero. She was a good friend to Shanann. They grew very close. She had spent a lot of time with her. She's also friends with Sandy, Shanann's mother. Shanann had just come back from spending 6 weeks with Sandy. And I'm sure her mother's intuition and heart and just observation skills made her very aware that her daughter was in a state of crisis. So, combined with being with Shanann and understanding her mental state and her concerns, her very real concerns, knowing what Shanann was finding on her phone about having evidence of her husband actually cheating, and also talking with Shanann's mother, who was deeply concerned about her, it makes perfect sense that when Nicole could not get a hold of Shanann during a time period that showed Nicole Shanann's behavior was far off baseline, that she would be extremely concerned. It's completely sensible. And I just wanted to say that. We support you, Nicole Atkinson.
Observed and taking everything that Sherilyn Cadle says at face value. In this case, what Chris Watts has to say in his letter to Sherilyn and what she tells the world about Chris Watts said about Nicole Atkinson aligns perfectly. Nicole Atkinson was not spending the night in the basement at the Watts house with knowledge of what happened the evening from the 12th to the 13th. She is just a good friend who is concerned about Shanann. Let's just move on from that. So I'm going to be reading you another part of Letters from Christopher, and I do want to warn you that we're going to start to approach the topics that I need to attach that trigger warning to, so to speak. This really is very difficult to hear content. And so if you know that might be upsetting to you, maybe it would be time to just step away and you can.
So again, let me just reiterate, live here, the trigger warning, whoops, I don't know what happened there, whoops, for listening to this portion of the content. It's just very hard to hear. It has to do with the last moments of the lives of these beautiful people. So just please understand that that's out there, okay? There we go.
You can think about if you want to watch this later, it's going to be available, but please don't, cause yourself anxiety or stress that you can't handle, because this kind of stuff does cause us anxiety and stress. It just does. So the beginning part of this letter just begins with some niceties and some small talk and reassuring Sherilyn Cadle of Chris's deep faith and pious devotion to the Lord, essentially, before he gets into some information about the investigation. He says, dayroom time is when we all can use the phone, watch TV, play cards, other games, and talk with each other. The rest of the night I spend reading or writing until I fall asleep, sometimes around 11 p.m. As you can see, I pray, read, and write a lot. My faith of the Lord is it's my stability. He gives me to spread his word, consumes most of my day, and I love it. The Lord's presence lets me rest in peace, knowing that his grace and love surround me. You say the canine dogs went crazy in one spot in the basement, and I can't think of a physical reason why. I went downstairs that morning to the basement to get some trash bags, but that's it. I know dogs can see, feel things humans can't, so maybe they felt the evil spirits that were in the house. That's the only reason I can come up with why the dogs picked up anything in the basement. So here we hear a theme. It's a theme of evil, of possession, of energy lingering in the house or within Chris Watts himself that took over.
Yesterday when you were talking, and again, this is before we kind of got to this moment today, you mentioned that we were talking, you said, I don't know where they are, and then you said something along the lines of, whatever happened to them is act of pure evil. What does that mean?
It's just the evil that I saw when I walked behind Shanann and she was on top of CC. And then I felt evil for what I did to Shanann.
Okay.
Like at the end of the conversation, it was just like, that's what happened. Mm-hmm. I just wish I could have let go.
Did it seem like it was that long? 2 to 4 minutes? How long did it seem for you?
almost kind of felt like it was longer almost because it felt like time was standing still. It's kind of like I just saw my life just disappearing before my eyes, but it just like I couldn't let go. It was like somebody else, like if you picture somebody else around you, holding your hands, holding you, keep you from not letting
You are
go.
seeing actual drive from Chris Watts' house to Survey 319.
Oh, you're gonna have a little brother or sister? Yeah, you think so? Fuck. July, baby?
Good girl, Bella. You're so sweet.
Give her a kiss, Bella. Give her a kiss.
Daddy home.
Daddy home?
No.
No.
Yeah. Let's do it. A little hair. Ready? Set?
Cece, what's
Cece,
Daddy
I
doing?
am so sorry.
Well, guys, there's absolutely no doubt that something horribly evil happened in that house. And the reason I think that something horribly evil happened in that basement, well, there's actually several reasons. So I'm going to put them all together for you. And I have a very concrete theory on this one. I think I know exactly what happened in the basement, or at least one of the horrible events that happened in the basement of the Watts house. Guys, for Bella and Cece Watts, whatever happened in that house in 2825 Saratoga Trail, what I believe happened in the basement before Chris Watts got into his truck, brought his family with him in his truck in whatever state they were in, and took this desolate, isolated drive to Survey 319 before the girls went into the oil tanks. Whatever happened in that house was the last thing the girls experienced before they got into that truck to take their ride towards certain death. And to me, their experience matters. To me, their experience matters, and justice for them matters, regardless of whether there's a conviction on the books for this crime or not. Something that cannot be ignored, and I've thought about time and time again over the years, is Jane, the dog handler, and her dog Cody. Cody absolutely positively hid down in the Watts basement. That is for certain. The dog gives. And Allison, yes, it's true that the law enforcement did completely ignore the dogs. Not only did they ignore the dogs in this sense, but also one of the dogs hit outside of Chris Watts' work truck. Well, they said they didn't give a what's it called, an acute hit, but they indicated the dog went and sat there outside of the work truck. At that point, the investigators wisely, can you hear my sarcasm, decided that it was just too much to take 10 minutes to fill out the paperwork, to present the judge with the application for a search warrant so they could get Anadarko's permission to legally search Chris Watts' work truck. Allison, yes, you're completely right. Law enforcement 100% fully and absolutely ignored the dogs and a whole lot of other evidence when they weren't busy covering it up. Gives a clear indication, a signaling bark, ruff, ruff, pause, even space time, ruff, ruff, pause, even space time. This is one of the many signals that dogs will give when they're trying to communicate with their humans to say, hey, you trained me and you wanted me to tell you something, and here it is, let's talk, right? Now, it's a little bit confusing because another dog handler and dog come down after Cody and Jane leave, as you're going to see, and that dog does not hit on anything, shows interest for certain in the unmade bed, but other than that, certainly does not give any indications. Now, I had done some research on these two dogs way back when, and I picked it up again rather recently, and I finally figured out why the two dogs have a different opinion. First, let's watch Jane and her dog Cody. And I don't know if I think kind of an error I made in
completing this video is I tell you that, I lead you there, but I don't ever tell you what it is I found out and confirmed. Jane's dog is a trauma dog. Jane's dog is often sent out on search and rescue missions and therefore is trained in identifying and perceiving trauma, the sense of trauma, the smell of stress hormones, trauma hormones. And the second dog that comes in is a cadaver dog. They have uniquely and remarkably different training, and their goal is completely different. So to compare these two dogs' responses to this basement with one another is like comparing like apples and empanadas. You just can't do it. You like that, Veronica?
One in the basement.
Yep. That's interesting because immediately. Quiet. Are you trying to tell me something? Just need a drink. Here, check.
Something's upsetting up here.
Yep, something's upsetting in here.
Yes, that's what you want to fetch.
Time for you, Nicole.
Cool.
105. You can attach me to that meet. I'll be on the single.
Something's upsetting here, in this area. Here. Something's upsetting him here.
Okay.
More to see he's trying to tell me something.
Money.
I think Jeff or one of them should come in here down in.
So
Yeah, well, here's the baby car seat.
this bed is definitely not made. Stuff on hangers, coats.
That intensity, see, he hasn't been that intensity.
There's a dead wasp on the bed, but
He has not been that intensity, yeah.
See, listen, here, talking about ignoring the dogs, this makes me crazy. Jane is actually, in this instance, listening to the dog, unlike when they did the walk around the neighborhood and we're on, what was it, I can't think of the name of it right now. But anyway, right by the dumpster where Chris Watts admitted to dumping his clothes and other items that were present at the time the crimes were committed. And Jane's dog, Scout, here was indicating like a mother effer good doggy, right? Jane was paying no attention to him. In this case, she's paying attention to him. Like, oh my God, he's being so intense. He hasn't been this intense all along. He hasn't been intense. And, the officer here is like, well, the bed is unmade. There's a dead wasp on the bed, which I didn't get. And somebody pointed out, well, if there's a dead wasp on the bed, maybe it means somebody hasn't been in a while. Maybe, but maybe not. It was August. August is wasp season. I think that was some really good, thinking there. But this makes me crazy. Let me just go back a couple seconds. Jane is pointing out the importance of the dog's indicators here. And it's like, but that doesn't matter. There's a dead wasp on the bed. Makes me freaking nuts.
money.
I think Jeff or one of them should come in here down in.
So
Here's the baby car seat.
this bed is definitely not made. Stuff on hangers, coats.
That intensity, see, he hasn't been that intensity.
There's a dead wasp on the bed, but
He has not been that intensity, yeah.
there's a sleeping mask right here too.
Huh?
There's a sleeping mask right there too.
And this has not been cleaned up like everything else.
Sure hasn't.
See, this may be her scent. Something has set him off.
Oh, that's a a night sleep.
Yeah, crazy. I don't know. This makes me nuts, guys. It's like they're not even having the same conversation. She's like, maybe it's her scent. Something has really set him off. And Officer Caitlin is like, Oh, look, there's a sleeping, there's a sleeping. And Jane's like, the dog's going crazy. There's a sleeping mask. Okay.
Something that set him off down in this area.
Okay, so we also know that the investigators who went to visit Chris Watts at Dodge Correctional Facility in February of 2019 were very interested in the basement. They didn't ask a whole lot of pointed questions, which was really surprising and strange for such a long interview when so little is known about the actual details of the crime. But one thing they did ask specific questions on was, did Watts go into the basement? And they explain a little bit about why, and I'll expand more on that later in this video.
What other things did you do that maybe we even missed?
Shut the phone and watch. Yeah. I think I threw the therapy book she wanted me to read in the trash.
That was that morning.
I think so.
Were you trying to make it look like she threw it in the trash?
I don't know. I just didn't think nothing was ever gonna work again. So I didn't know what was going on.
Did you go down to the basement? I thought the basement door opened.
Yeah, the door is open, but yeah. So there was a lot of movement. I think it was around 4:26 or something. And the garage door opening, the basement door opening, and then of course the living room sensors and all. Do you remember what you were doing all during that time?
You had a lot of steps. I'll just say that.
So like the basement, I'm not sure. I mean, the only thing I really have down there is my workout, the bench press.
It is very clear from the information in the discovery and the very little information that we do have from the Vivint alerts in the Watts home, it is crystal clear that something was happening in that basement during those hours between when Shanann got home and when Chris Watts started loading his work truck at 5:15 a.m. There is no doubt about that. Also, mysteriously, from the time Shanann gets home until right around that 4 o'clock something hour, and I don't remember the specific time. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. The Vivint alert indicated no activity on the main floor. Now, is that because there was activity on the main floor and Chris Watts somehow turned it off in a way that, went over the investigator's head? Wouldn't be surprising because they weren't being too sharp in their investigation. Or is that because nothing happened on the main floor and all of that activity was in the basement and or upstairs? I think it's an important question. At this point, I do not have a firm answer to those questions I just put out there, which is why I'm asking you guys.
Do you remember going down there for anything or opening that door for anything? Did you think about, well, maybe I'll take her out that way, or is it a walkout basement?
No.
It wasn't at your house. Okay.
No, it's like a garden level basement. So.
Okay.
But no, I don't know the place. What's that? I don't think it worked out that morning.
Like, were you packing your lunch in the kitchen? Like, did you have to do all that normal stuff? Okay.
I packed lunch and everything. Did all that, but I don't remember about the basement. Unless I just worked out that morning, I just don't remember. I don't think it did.
So one of the more...
Unless there was a trash bag down there at that time.
Yeah, you got trash bags from there?
Maybe there wasn't any in the garage, and I went down there and got one.
Do you normally carry a roll of trash bags in your truck?
No.
So there was a roll in the truck.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I just grabbed it and brought it with me.
Oh, my. Does Mr. Watts ever have tells in his lies? We know when he's lying. We know when he's telling the truth. He's, like Tammy Lee said, he's really not a good liar. Listen, guys, Chris Watts remembers details about what happened on that horrible morning and even the late night before the horrible morning and the day after the murders happened and forward in time. He remembers so many things in detail. When he is asked a question and he doesn't have any reservation about giving the answer, he just gives a very normal, straightforward answer, as in like normal communication. Question asked, response given, fine, we move on. But this whole bit about when he's asked if he went down in the basement and he can't remember, and maybe he did this and maybe he did that, and just kind of stumbling around his words and while he professes to have 140 IQ, he's just kind of, responding in these partial, like childlike sentences, really making not much sense at all. This is Chris's very awkward and not sophisticated way of dancing around the truth. This is one of his ways of lying. Chris Watts is totally lying about not remembering going down into the basement or remembering what he did when he went down into the basement, which of course begs for the next question. Then what is he hiding? Why does he not want to tell the investigators that he was down in the basement? Or what does he not want to disclose to them that he did or got while he was in the basement? I'm going to read you an excerpt from Cheryl Lynn Kettle's book.
First, I just have to comment on this. So, Stephanie, I love Stephanie. Stephanie says, unfortunately, Chris Watts pled guilty, causing the entire investigation to stop. We don't know what law enforcement was onto, and we won't know what they could have discovered. I agree with that in part, Stephanie, but one thing that is very important that we have to realize, and I've talked about it in my Bombshell Part 1 and Part 2 videos, and I made an entire video about the importance of the failure to properly process Chris Watts' work truck, is that the investigation did not stop on November 6th when Chris Watts made the plea deal with District Attorney Rourke, right after he had spent 3 days in the Rusak's home. Right after, on October 31st, Michael Prill found the secret calculator app in Chris Watts' work phone and was applying for a warrant to have the phones re-investigated, which prompted DA Rourke to go to North Carolina to stay in the Rusak's home for 3 days and convince them to accept a plea that took the death penalty off the table. That all happened right before November 6th. Plea deal was met or arranged, agreed upon on November 6th. That is not when the investigation stopped. The investigation stopped on, well, what we have evidence on is at least September 4th, which was only about 3 weeks after this crime was committed, when the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, in writing, refused to analyze the evidence that was already collected in Chris Watts' work truck, trace lifts that could have contained DNA and all sorts of other evidence that would have told us who was in that truck that everybody said that they knew was the only way that Shanann, Bella, and Celeste left that house. And we would have also then known if the people in that truck were alive or deceased. That would have then precluded District Attorney Rourke from telling the huge lie to the Rusak family that he knew that all 3 of their lives were taken in the house. And then they later had to find out, 3 months later, when the investigators went to interview Chris Watts in prison, that that was not the case. They learned about Bella's horrible fate in her last moments. And if they had known that all along, they may have very well changed their minds on what was acceptable to them and how this case proceeded. It may have gone to trial. It may have not caused the Rusaks to be exposed to all of that trauma, and that is very, very important. And I'm not mad if anyone thinks the investigation stopped at the plea, because I'm being emphatic. Of course, you're going to think that because that's what everyone was saying. But we now know that that is not the truth. And what the investigators did to shrink their responsibilities in investigating this triple homicide and also the crimes that were committed to baby Nico, and what they did to the family members of these victims, cannot be acceptable. It is not forgivable, and it has yet to be rectified, and it must be, or there is no justice in this case.
Letters from Christopher. So this is in Chris Watts' own handwriting, and that is not contended. Now, the story that he tells here, I think it's getting close to the truth. It's different than what he told the FBI, and it's different what he later told Sherilyn Kettle, voice to voice, and several other people, including one person close to the Watts family who I spoke with myself well over a year ago. Let me first read to you what is in the book, Letters from Christopher, in Chris Watts' own handwriting. Please be aware, this is very hard to hear, and your discretion must be used. August 13th, the morning of.
I went to the girls' room first, before Shanann and I had our argument. I went to Belle's room, then Cece's room, and used a pillow from their bed. That's why the cause of death was smothering. After I left Cece's room, I then climbed back into bed with Shanann, and our argument ensued. After Shanann had passed, Bella and Cece woke back up. I'm not sure how they woke back up, but they did. It makes the act that much worse knowing I went to their rooms first and knowing I still took their lives at the oil field. That is such a hard story to take in, isn't it? I can remember the first time I heard that story, and I can remember just the absolute horror that resonated through me just thinking about, my gosh, he killed his children twice. However, that story doesn't account for a couple of things. It does not account for Jane's dog Cody hitting so strongly, so intensely, she said, in the basement. And it also does not account for the very strange story that he told the investigators when they went to Dodge Correctional Facility about the very end moments of the girls' lives on the way to Survey 319 and at Survey 319. I just want to listen to a very short portion of Chris Watt's confession from Dodge Correctional Facility in February of 2019 when the investigators went up to visit him. So there are kind of two parts to his confession about what happened to the girls before they broke for lunch, and he gave a certain set of details, and then after they returned from lunch and pressed for more details. So this is just kind of what he had to say about Bella and Cece each in short in that period of time when he spoke before lunch.
So what happened next?
Bella came in.
Is that what happened? Bella came in. What she said?
Oh, why?
Did she hear something? Is that what she did?
Obviously, I think.
Okay.
CC was first. She did have a blanket. She had a blue blanket.
So was she alive when she went into the oil tank? No.
I put the blanket over her head.
And that's how she passed. Good brief.
Right? Daddy?
I put the blanket over her head. I didn't want to. No. I strangled her right there in the back seat.
Okay. And then the same for Bella. Just without a blanket.
With the blanket.
Oh, okay.
I didn't look. It's like every time I closed my eyes, I just hear her say, "Daddy, no," and that was it.
That's what Bella said.
I'm there that every day.
You got it.
Okay, guys, so now we're going to listen to the portion of what he had to say to the investigators after they returned to the prison after the lunch break. I've just noticed that he only talks about Bella, even though Cece was his favorite child. He admits that. He doesn't mention Cece's name, but once or twice, and he talks about Bella a whole lot. Okay, go ahead and listen.
So with the girls, talked about how they got into the truck with you and were alive. Okay. Are you 100% sure that's true? Okay.
Can we go back just a second? You talked about before that Bella walked in though to the bedroom. Can you tell us about that before you left?
Yeah, I was just getting the sheet off the bed, and she had walked in, and she had her little pink blanket with her. She's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong, mommy?"
And where was Shanann at that point?
Yeah, just pretty much on the bed, but she was face down.
Wrapped in the sheet. What'd you say?
It's like, she didn't feel good. That's when I tried to carry her downstairs.
Shanann?
Did you carry her like this? Did you drag her? How did you do it?
Tempted to pick her up and pick her up, take her down, but I lost grip after a little while. And I just had to pull.
Did Bella see you do that? What was Bella saying?
She started crying a little bit. She's like, "What's wrong, Mom?"
Well, what'd you say that time?
So it's just feel good. She's a smart girl. She know what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. Did she ever touch Shanann? Try and wake her up or anything? No.
She didn't want to see her or ask to see her or anything. And so that initial time, did she see you put Shanann in the truck? So she was kind of following you? Okay. So she followed you and you put Shanann in the truck. Yeah. And then what?
I got Cece wasn't up yet. Right? She was just in her room. She was getting ready to get out of her bed. And then they were just walking around the house. I was put my lunchbox and stuff in the truck, and then grab the kids and put them in the bench in the back.
Okay. So Shanann, is she kind of on the floor in the back? And they're just on their bench. Okay. And both alive at that point. Okay. Is there any reason you would feel uncomfortable to tell me that they it's hard to see. Okay. And I believe you. I'm just I'm trying to make sure that I'm giving you all the opportunities to be comfortable enough to tell me exactly. Okay.
They were like,
okay.
Trust me, I hear that every day when fellows talking to me on the site.
Oh really? What do you mean?
When she said, "Daddy, no." When we were driving to the site, she said, "Daddy, it smells."
Oh. Okay. So that goes back to.
And the emotional way that Chris talks about this, I've said this before, and I may say it again in this video, the emotional way that Chris Watts talks about, things Bella said and Bella did, both at Survey 319 and in the truck on the way from Saratoga Trail to Survey 319, tells me this is a tell of him telling the truth. When he shows any kind of emotion, it is an indicator of his truthfulness. This is something that we can understand about Chris Watts by studying what he says and understanding his baseline behavior, his personality, and the indicators of his truthfulness or deception. The lack of his mentioning of Cece, except for very bizarre things, like he just said, Bella was following me around. They're asking if, Bella watched him pushing in the truck. He says, yes, I think that might be the shadow that maybe we see under the truck is him picking up Bella. And he says, well, Cece was in bed. Or Cece wasn't awake yet. She was getting ready to get out of her bed. Cece's never getting ready to get out of her bed. They themselves say Cece has two speeds. She's either stop or go. She's either sleeping or she's rampage, right? Cece was in her bed because Chris Watts had already attempted to take the lives of both of his daughters. And as he said to the investigators, they woke up. Well, one woke up fully, and that was Bella, and the other did not. And what was done after that has very much to do with what happened in the basement and is the reason why the trauma dog indicates. Understand, Jane's dog is a trauma dog, a search and rescue dog trained in picking up indications of trauma and stress. The other dog Scout is not a cadaver dog. The other dog that came in after Jane's dog is a cadaver dog.
Maybe Shanann evacuating herself.
I don't know if it was that. They know that smell like a skunk maybe sometimes.
Oh,
okay. So I got some kind of smell that way, but I don't know what that was from.
And was that maybe outside the truck or was that in?
I don't know.
Okay. What did you guys talk about on the way out?
They were pretty quiet. They, laid next to each other.
Okay.
Maybe Bella in her lap and Cece in her lap, just back and forth.
Oh, okay. Just trading off like little ones do. Okay. Were they awake?
I think one would kind of fall asleep. Cece would really kind of trade off back and forth.
Were they talking to you?
Just about, just saying, "Daddy, it smells."
Oh, okay.
It was early in the morning. They were showing up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you have to? So you didn't have to wake Cece up?
There's the noise from trying to get Sharon downstairs.
Did she kind of fall down the stairs?
No, it was more like trying to get her down and like, from the steps, maybe her foot, the next step kind of thing.
Oh.
They're like,
You mentioned Bella was first. Cece was first. Okay. Where exactly was she when it happened?
in the back seat.
Okay. Was she just right next to Bella?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, so once again, was it a hand over her face? Was it?
It was a blanket over my hand.
And then your hand. Okay. And then so that just stopped her from breathing type thing. Okay. Did she struggle at all?
I don't think so, but I was blocking her face and my hand was right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had one hand here and one hand over her mouth?
And we're just pushing her against the back of the seat type thing? Okay. What was Bella doing?
Sitting there next to her, she didn't know what was going on.
Okay. Could she see you? Okay. And then did that take a minute or two?
Didn't really, nothing. I had no way concept at the time.
In addition to the lack of details about Cece, I want you to notice here about when Graham Coder asks him about did it take a while, he says he didn't have any concept of time. Now let's listen to what he says about Bella.
And then once she's gone, then is it Bella next, or did you pull Cece out?
I pulled Cece out.
Okay, so once Cece's gone, Bella's still there in the car alive, and then you pulled Cece out. What'd you do with her? Okay. So she went into the tank, and Bella was still in the back of the truck alive. With regard to that tank, did you bring up Cece, put her down, open the hatch?
Brought her up, opened the hatch.
And put her in. Okay. When we talked the very first time we met, and we were talking about this, it was a matter of just lowering her down. Okay. And so she went in feet first. Okay. Was she able to fit pretty well? Was it snug?
I think so.
Okay. Did you have to move her around a little bit and get her in there?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
No, I didn't have to hit her
okay.
Like that.
It's not like you stomped her in.
No.
Okay. And then close the hatch?
Yes.
Okay. And then went down to Bella. Tell me what happened there.
She said what happened to Cece. Or she asked, it's the same thing, the exact same thing that happened to me as Cece.
Did she ask you that? Okay. So Bella's pretty smart. How does she sound when she asked you that, Chris?
So that soft voice she always had.
What exactly did she say?
Said that it's the same thing that happened to me as CC. And then I said, I don't even remember what I said. I don't know if I just said yes, like a horrible person, or if I just put that blanket over her too and did the same thing.
Same blanket, same way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She said no, Daddy. And that's the last thing she said.
Did she say no, Daddy, like please no, Daddy type thing? Did she say don't do it?
She said no, Daddy.
Okay. Same way, hand on neck, hand over mouth, or hand over blanket with the double mouth. Okay. Did that take a couple minutes?
I like it.
Now here, when Graham Coder asked him the same question, did it take a couple minutes? He says, it felt like it. He answers far more questions in response to what happened to Bella on the ride to Survey 319 and at Survey 319 as compared to Cece. If you've noticed as well, during this entire story, Bella is the only one who he says said anything. She came into the room. She asked if Mommy was okay. She said, Daddy, it smells when she was in the truck. She asked if he was going to do the same thing to her as he did to Cece. And he doesn't mention that Cece said anything that entire time. Now, we all know that Cece was a bundle of energy and Bella was rather quiet. So this is kind of interesting, right? We also listened to a part where Tammy Lee asked him, well, what about Cece? And he said, oh, she was still in her room. She was just waking up. I don't know, man. Cece seemed to, wake up and jump right into life. It seems to me that the investigators had an idea that perhaps
Cece was not actually alive on the ride to Survey 319, and then obviously, certainly not while he was at Survey 319.
Can you tell us about, obviously, when the district attorney got up and talked about Bella's injuries and stuff?
I didn't want to hear about that.
Right. Can you tell us about that?
As far as like her biting her tongue?
And ripping her.
I like how, Tammy Lee is like, so, when the district attorney told us about Bella's injuries and all that, and Chris Watts is like, yeah, I didn't want to hear about that. I can't even imagine what the investigators were seeing and Tammy, or thinking, and Tammy's just like, right, yeah. Like, yeah, you should have been there when they took their bodies out of the crude oil tanks, you jackass. He's just so vilely disgusting.
Frenulum, which is that connective skin from your lip to your gum. It was gone. Her gums had what looked like a hole in them. And the pathologist said it was from her obviously struggling to get away.
I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
Could it be that that's what happened?
So like, I didn't put my hand over her like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, it would have been just downward pressure on this area.
I didn't see any of that one. Like it was like her lip was like missing or something?
No, see the skin that connects there? That was ripped. Like it was gone. So it kind of made like a hole in her gum.
I'm just thinking maybe it's like if her hand was not her head was like twisting back and forth. Could that have done that?
Yeah.
I had a blanket. I don't know. Like,
did you feel her doing that thrashing? They were trying to get away.
I felt her head moving back and forth.
You did.
But I didn't know that.
Could you tell if she was trying to yell or say anything or?
Only thing was Daddy no, and then like some grunt here and there, and like trying to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
My God, obviously that is absolutely so horrific. I personally believe that the only reason that Bella suffered those injuries and Cece had none is because Bella was alive. Oh God. On the ride to Survey 319 and at Survey 319, and her life did end very close to the way that Chris Watts disgustingly describes it here. And I also believe that Cece did not have any injuries because she was not alive at Survey 319 or on the ride to Survey 319. I believe she passed at the house. It doesn't make any sense with Cece, with all of her energy and personality and life, that she wouldn't fight back in a fight for her life, that she wouldn't be saying things all the way in the truck ride from Saratoga Trail to Survey 319. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, let's take a look at some of the body cam footage when Chris Watts arrived back at his house after Nicole Ainson had called him. He had been out at the oil field, and remember, he took such a long time to come back. They were starting to think about kicking in the door, and Officer Coonrod, Nicole Ainson, and her children were there to greet him. Remember, instead of letting them all in through the front door, he goes through the garage door, ducks to pick up something in the car, and then goes into the house. It's over a minute later when he actually opens the front door and lets them in. So let's look at exactly what it is he does right after he allowed them to come in the house, rather than to going around the house looking for his wife and children, which obviously we know he wouldn't do because he knew they were gone. Look at where he goes specifically.
Nikki, I'll give you permission to walk in my daughter's house.
Mind if I come in, Chris? Okay. Yeah. You checked upstairs? She's not there. I just want to make sure she's not passed out somewhere. Is she diabetic? You mind if I look around? Go ahead. Okay, thanks.
So we see that he goes right downstairs in the basement to let Dieter presumably out of his cage. Now, this is a little strange to me because when the investigators asked him, what did you do? Why were you going down in the basement? Why didn't he tell them that, oh, well, and I had to put Dieter in the cage before I left to work for the day? I mean, could that be because, he's thinking, oh man, if I went to work, but Shanann and the girls were still home, Dieter wouldn't be put in his cage? But then you think, well, why would he mind telling them at that point when he's already in prison because they know that he killed his family? So why wouldn't he just say, yeah, well, when I was down in the basement, one of the things I did, because I knew no one would be home, I put Dieter in the cage. That would have satisfied them partially, accounted for some of his time running around on the first floor and going down into the basement. But he didn't tell them that. And the second he walked into the house there with Officer Coonrod there, he goes down in the basement to let Dieter out. Well, maybe it would have made sense to keep Dieter in his cage since he'd been in his cage a whole lot while the family was away in North Carolina. But I wonder if he went downstairs into the basement to check to see if everything that he should have cleaned up down there or put away down there was in fact put away. A quick check while he's going down there to let Dieter out of the cage. Now, why would I think that? Again, really quickly to what it was Dave Baumhover and Tammy Lee said about the activity in the house and in the basement around that time when they were asking if he went into the basement.
What other things did you do that maybe we even missed?
So the phone and watch. Yeah. I think I threw the therapy book she wanted me to read in the trash.
That was that morning?
I think so.
Were you trying to make it look like she threw it in the trash?
I don't know. I just didn't think nothing was ever going to work again. So I didn't know what was going on.
Did you go down to the basement? I thought the basement door opened.
Yeah, the door is open, but yeah. So there was a lot of movement. I think it was around 4:26 or something. And the garage door opening, the basement door opening, and then of course the living room sensors and all. Do you remember what you were doing all during that time?
You had a lot of steps. I'll just say that.
So like the basement, I'm not sure. I mean, the only thing I really have down there is my workout, the bench press one.
Do you remember going down there for anything or opening that door for anything? Did you think about, well, maybe I'll take her out that way, or is it a walkout basement?
No,
it wasn't at your house. Okay.
No, it's like a garden level basement. So.
Okay.
But no, I'm not really. What's that? I don't think I worked out that morning.
Like, were you packing your lunch in the kitchen? Like, did you have to do all that normal stuff? Okay.
I packed lunch and everything. Did all that, but I don't remember about the basement. Unless I just worked out that morning, I just don't remember. I don't think I did.
So one of the more.
Unless there was a trash bag down there at that time.
Yeah, you got trash bags from there?
Maybe there wasn't any in the garage. No one down there got one.
Do you normally carry a roll of trash bags in your truck?
No.
So there was a roll in the truck.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I just grabbed it and brought it with me.
So in the letter from Christopher Watts to Sherilyn Cadle that we read that was from her book earlier in this video, he expands on the confession that he gave the investigators when they visited him in prison in February of 2019. But guys, there is yet another story. Now, this story was told to Sherilyn Cadle. Sherilyn Cadle told this story, and some people did not believe her. But I do know this story was told from Chris Watts to at least 3 other people. One of those people I spoke with about 2 years ago. Now, why haven't I talked about it until now? When I talked to this person about the story that I'm going to tell you, and maybe you've heard it before, I just wasn't ready to talk about anything so horrific on my channel, and I didn't know if I ever would. Now, I don't have permission from this person at this point to disclose their name, but I have asked for that permission. And if they get back to me soon, I will, or at any time, I'll do a live stream so we can talk about it. And I actually would love to have them on. This person is close to the Watts family. So the story goes like this. Why did the dog Cody hit in the basement near the refrigerator? Well, according to Sherilyn Cadle and the person I spoke with, Chris Watts believes it is because when he did, yes, try to kill both of his beautiful girls while they were at home at 2825 Saratoga Trail, he did believe he was successful. He panicked and he wasn't sure what he was going to do with them. He took Cece first down into the basement. He tried to put Cece in the refrigerator and she did not fit. I guess at that point, he was thinking that he would come back for the family later. He knew that he had to be at work. He had made a commitment to do something early that morning at Survey 319, and he just was not sure what he was going to do with the girls. Cece would not fit in that refrigerator, so he put her in a large plastic tote near the refrigerator and was going to apparently leave her there for the day while he was at work. Now, the story that he told about the girls waking up seems to be very true about Bella. Apparently, according to him, what he told these three people plus Sherilyn Cadle, Isabella did wake up and she was fine, other than the fact that she was obviously horrified. Apparently, she had some marks and bruising on her face, but other than that, that sweet little angel was talking, as Chris Watts talked about, to several people, including the investigators at the prison, and she was walking about the house. Apparently, according to this story that he told Sherilyn Cadle and three other people, little Cece did, in fact, wake back up as far as regaining consciousness. However, after that, she never talked again. Now, when we look at Chris Watts' health data from the app on his phone, we can see that this is supporting the story that he is telling. And he said that all this with Cece did happen right around 4:30 a.m., that same time that investigators were asking him about when they went to visit him at Dodge. We can see that right around 4:30 a.m., he took a whopping 1,500 steps in the house, apparently, and he also clocked 0.6 plus miles. 0.6 plus miles, that's over half a mile. That is a lot of steps and a lot of distance to cover while you're just walking around in your house. It seemed that, at that hour, right around 4:30 a.m., something went very wrong according to the plan that he had or was making up as he went along, and he had to scurry around his house to try to get things back in order, so to speak. Now, why is this horrible hardware information important? It's important because it gives us an idea of what really did or did not happen in that house and on that horrific morning. And another question is this the only thing that we know about what happened in that basement or in that house that has not yet been discovered officially, but those who have information behind the scenes, who have been following this case and doing their own research, might have? I think that there is more that we actually know about what happened in that basement and in that house on that horrible morning of August 13th and even the night before, the evening of August 12th. And we will be talking about that in the next video on this topic. I'm sorry this was so hard to hear, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. Please click like and subscribe. And may Shanann, Celeste, Bella, and Nico rest in eternal peace. Okay, so the basement, the lies, District Attorney Rourke, the failure to fully investigate the case, not just after Chris Watts pled, as infamously or famously, Tammy Lee and other people say, the investigation stopped the clock. There was so much else to do. As I've shown you through other videos, from things that we've studied in this case, the investigation stopped long before them. One day that we can mark in the history books is September 4th, on the day when the Colorado Bureau of Investigation refused to analyze the evidence that was already collected in Chris Watts' work truck, which was already shown to be ignored by law enforcement when the trauma dog hit outside of the truck, and law enforcement didn't bother
to do the paperwork for a search warrant, to get a search warrant from the judge, to get the permission from Anadarko to actually go inside and search the truck. Now, they did so after Chris Watts was arrested because, well, then they could do so. But did it matter anyway? Because the evidence they collected was ultimately not analyzed. And it's so important to understand that. Now, this all connects to District Attorney's lies to the public and to the Rusic's family and to the ultimate outcome of the resolution to this point of the case. I'm going to bring another video into the stream. How much do I want to go into this? Let's see. I'll start. Well, here's where I'll just pick up with the work truck information just to reiterate and give you more detail on that.
Did not wish to take possession of at that time. Those items are crossed out on the evidence submission form, which has been added to the case file.
Divorce. Now, we know that Nicole Kessinger knew that she was the mistress for a number of reasons. I'm just going to point out two. One was at a time that was close to the time of this tragedy, and one was in the very beginning of their relationship. So on August 8th, the day after the Watts family returned home in Colorado from their trip in North Carolina, a lot of things happened. The ultrasound was that evening. Shanann was very upset because Chris had told her that he didn't want to have the baby, but he did agree to go to the ultrasound. That was at 7 p.m. Chris Watts on that day deleted his Facebook account. On that day, Nicole Kessinger gave Chris a key to her apartment. According to the Geotab location information, we also know that Chris Watts went to Nicole Kessinger's apartment right after work, and he stayed there right up until the time when he had to leave to go to the ultrasound with Shanann. What else happened on August 8th? Nicole Kessinger, well, let me read what it says in the discovery here. At 7:25 p.m., that's shortly after Chris Watts left Kessinger's house, Kessinger searched Google on topics related to marrying your mistress. Well, there you go. She knows she's the mistress. There's no question about it. That is on August 8th, just 5 days before the annihilation of Chris Watts' family. Now, let's tie this all together here. Remember that day, June 12th, 2018, the one day where emails between Watts and Kessinger were found, the day right after those consecutive days when Shanann posted on Facebook about her pregnancy. Nicole Kessinger writes to Chris, "Agreed. It's always nice to find people you can relate to. I enjoy talking to you as well. I feel understood. I am looking for someone to build a beautiful life with. Seems so simple, yet so unrealistic sometimes. Build something similar to what you have done with your wife and those cute little girls. I do believe in karma, so out of respect for myself, you and your family, I think it is best if we keep that friendship at work. By the way, I will keep the conversations we have between us. Best regards, Nicole Kessinger." Well, 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 well. She's looking to build something with someone to have a beautiful life like he has with his wife Shanann and his beautiful little girls. Doesn't sound like a woman who believes that Chris Watts is separated and is on his way to divorce. Lies, lies, lies. And Dr. Phil knows. Once news of Shannon's disappearance spread, Nicole had gone to police of her own free will to speak to them about her involvement with Chris. But was she a hero in this story? Or is it possible
Like Shannon's parents believe to this day that she tried to help Chris. And when it all started coming unraveled, when it all started hitting the wall, she got scared and bailed. Was she actually helping him and got cold feet and decided, save yourself, girl?
Very interesting, right? Now remember, that was from Dr. Phil's podcast, episode 3 of The Devil Beside Me, that was recorded and produced before Chris Watts' February 2019 jailhouse interview. So we have an idea of what people's beliefs were before his jailhouse interview and, what was acceptable. Dr. Phil was maybe even encouraged to say this. He certainly was allowed, but at some point he wasn't, because again, this was the deleted episode. Now, let's take a listen to Dr. Phil interviewing Shanann's family's attorneys, and they discuss what was revealed during Chris Watts' jailhouse interview and the impact that had on everything. It shook the earth. In this Dr. Phil episode, we're about to explore a little bit. It was recorded right after Chris Watts' final confession to the 3 investigators when they went out to speak with him in Dodge Correctional Facility after he had already been charged, sentenced, and was no doubt spending the rest of his life in prison. Dr. Phil, in this clip, talks to Shanann's family's attorneys. He brings up the topic saying, we know that the other person in the investigation that was questioned was the mistress. Did anything actually come of that investigation? In talking to the mistress, we will then hear what the attorneys had to say. And guys, it is very interesting. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but wow, wait until you hear this now.
Chris Watts is sharing new details about the night he killed them. An attorney for Shanann's parents, Frank and Sandy Rusick, told our Dylan Thomas his clients were briefed on the new information and were evaluating their next steps.
You need to pay attention to the fact that they say here that the family was evaluating their next steps. Dr. Phil asked the attorneys why investigators went to talk to Chris Watts in February of 2019.
As we expressed, it's our guess that there was another person they were looking into or investigating that would have required enough time to either determine if charges should be brought or if that was not an avenue to be explored. And we're unsure at this point if that's ongoing investigation or not, so we don't want to go too far down that road.
The Rusick's family attorneys offer an explanation of why the Rusicks may simply not care if law enforcement goes after someone else that may have been involved. I mean, think of Chris Watts' initial confession. He blamed Shanann for these atrocities. He blamed Shanann. And we heard earlier in this video just how horrible the story that came out from him initially was. It was absolutely horrible, heartbreaking. Shanann's family knew in their hearts there was no way that was true. And I'm sure it just added to the immense, insurmountable pain in their hearts, their minds, and their souls to know that that story was out there. And people might think that. They might think that of them. They might think that of Shanann. The Rusick's family's main concern was to clear Shanann's name, and rightfully so. They probably felt after that happened, they could move on. The result of that interview in February 2019 from Dodge Correctional Facility is that Shanann's name was, in fact, cleared. The family attorneys say that with this confession, they hope that it can be known by all that Chris Watts did not walk in to find his daughter's lives being taken by the hands of Shanann. The attorney goes on to say, and man, I can totally understand this, and I so much feel for Sandy Rusick and the Rusick family, that the way the information is coming out now, rather than in a prolonged way, as it would in a trial when they had time to emotionally prepare for what they were going to hear, there's information coming out every 2 to 3 weeks. And it's making Sandy feel kind of angry. And my gosh, who could blame the woman? It's torture. The attorney then goes on to explain how the Rusicks went about making the decision that they did, regarding the outcome they'd feel okay with there being a trial or not being a trial, accepting Chris Watts' plea or not, and having death penalty on the table or not. And remember, the information that they were given from District Attorney Rourke upon which they made that decision was information that District Attorney Rourke himself was not even certain of, because they never analyzed the evidence that was found in the investigation. So the story that they based that decision on was that pregnant Shanann, Bella, and Celeste's lives all ended in the home, and then Chris Watts loaded each of them into the truck deceased, drove them to Survey 319, where he disposed of their bodies. But that is not what really happened.
Personally, I think the worst for those girls on the drive there, it's a 45-minute drive. If he did load them onto the floorboards like we've been led to believe, obviously the question becomes, how much were Bella and Cece aware of what might have been happening in those 45 minutes on that drive to where their bodies were placed? That the family made the choice, whether you believe it's the correct one or not, to not pursue the death penalty. If it were me, I don't know how that would sit with me, knowing that she didn't know the full story.
And that might very well have changed the position she took, what she advocated for at the time.
All I can tell you is what I might do. It would definitely have changed
Well,
the
isn't that
calculus for
some
me.
egg in District Attorney Rourke's face? District Attorney Rourke relayed information to Shanann Watts' family based on an incomplete investigation, an investigation that he knew was incomplete, an investigation where evidence that was collected was not even analyzed. And based on that information, he asked Shanann Watts' family to make probably the biggest decision of their life so far. He stayed in their home for 3 days after he found out some information that I talked about in the part 1 of this series, that Michael Prill indicated in his report in the discovery before the timeline, that not all of the material was found in Chris Watts' phone. In fact, he came across items from the secret calculator app, as he says, just as a result of curiosity. He says that the forensic lab didn't have whatever was needed to access those inner storage vaults of an iPhone. And now that he knows that there was a secret calculator app, that there are places within that phone that might exist content that is relevant to the investigation, his plan was, as he outlined in the discovery report, to obtain another search warrant that would soon be executed, and the investigation would continue on. The report was dated October 30th, 2018. Straight away, District Attorney Rourke and Steve Wren got on a plane to go to North Carolina to spend 3 days with the Rusick family. Upon their return on November 6, 2018, they struck a plea deal with Chris Watts. It is my opinion, and I think the facts that I've been laying out to you, or that you may have already known on your own, indicate that District Attorney Rourke does not want anyone looking any further into this case. He did not want anyone looking any further into those phones. There are details there that he, for some reason, does not want uncovered.
Stop asking about it. She didn't have anything to do with it. She wasn't there that morning. She voluntarily cooperated with law enforcement. She provided us all the information. I'm not going to tell you where she's at. Stop. Leave me alone.
Could it be that District Attorney Rourke and the politics are the reason that episode 3 of The Devil Beside Me of Dr. Phil's podcast, someone as powerful as Dr. Phil, could it be that District Attorney Rourke is the reason that episode was deleted for some time? Was he trying to remove the words that Dr. Phil said from the history books? Please leave a comment and let us know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. We all want to know what you think, and I appreciate every single one of you.
Yes,
Justice
I
for
do. Justice for Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and unborn baby Nico. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I mean, just that's like a lot that's covered in that video and that other little bit of that other video. And you know, I think as I've said before, the information that I've been putting out, like when I make videos about the Watts case and, you know, what we can determine based on what we know now, what I have learned, what the channel's learned through its research, what you all have brought to the table and other channels have, and putting that all together. My videos, I've been trying to make them more kind of refined and, you know, really putting together those building blocks and those pieces that we have been able to, you know, find or excavate on our own and then come together. And I really think all of the information in that video, in those two videos, I just played a little bit of the one, is very important as we try to move towards justice instead of bullshit. In this case, bullshit being what we have right now, justice being where we want to go. Now, I do want to talk about another issue. It is almost bunny time. I'll get the squishy guy for you, Stevie, in just a little bit. He's so happy. He feels like a movie star now. He was telling me about it today. I do want to talk about, you know, the issue of just the basement. And I'm not going to be able to complete everything I have to say about this tonight because I really am getting tired. I'm going to be, and I'm not going to go longer than 2 hours. We're at like 1:45 right now. You know, Chris Watts said he was sleeping in the basement. Nicole Kessinger said he was sleeping in the basement. Would she know or not? Well, here's the thing. For the entire 5 weeks that Shanann and the girls were in North Carolina, Chris Watts stayed at Nicole Kessinger's house. He told us that. She told us that. Everybody told us that. It's a known thing, right? Phone evidence shows that. It's just how it was. So between the time of the tragedy and the return of the family from North Carolina, they came back the evening of August 7th. I outlined in that last video. You heard me maybe talk about it. We have the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. We have 5 days. Okay. I can count them on my fingers. 5. One hand. So Chris Watts was not sleeping in the basement prior to Shanann going to North Carolina. You know, Shanann talks about what a great sex life they had. They had great intimacy, like everything was fine. There was no discussion or any reason that anyone would believe, other than him perhaps lying to his mistress, that he slept on the couch. It's bullshit. Okay. He wasn't sleeping on the couch when Shanann was in North Carolina because we know where he was sleeping. It was in Nicole Kessinger's empanada. I mean, her apartment, her bed, right? One of her inputs. And so that doesn't make sense. He wasn't sleeping at home at all. So obviously he wasn't sleeping in the basement. Now, when he comes back from North Carolina, there's only the night of the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. Yeah, there's only 3 nights when Shanann's actually home and 5 nights when the girls are home before he annihilates them. So let's see, was he even sleeping on the couch then? And what does that mean? And why was he lying about it? I mean, if he was lying about that to Kessinger in terms of, you know, I was sleeping on the couch before we got together, before I found your inputs, you know, that could make sense, but that would only explain some of it. So let me bring the discovery inputs, I mean, just the discovery pages into the stream. Oh, Nicole Kessinger. On August 8th, which is the full day that they're home, this is what it said. Sarah Nudd, Shanann's friend, asks if they're doing any better. Shanann replies, no, it's so bad. I don't even know what to do. He told me he doesn't want this baby. Motherfucker. Could you imagine? Like, how dare he? And he's happy with just Bella and Celeste. He thought he wanted another one. Excuse my cursing, but, you know. I'm sick to my stomach. Tried to have sex with him last night just to see if he would, if that would help him, and he rejected me. Obviously, they were in the bed together at first, if that was happening. Shanann, well, not obviously, but, you know, it's pretty clear. Shanann said she hasn't cried this hard ever. Poor Shanann. Shanann added He said he feels there's a lack of communication, and it's not from me. I sent him 12 texts over the month begging him to talk to me. He fell asleep at 7 or 8 last night, Shanann told Sarah. I tried talking to him after rejection last night and me crying for an hour alone on the couch. He slept. I kicked his sorry ass out of the bed. I refused to sleep on the couch anymore this week because she had been sleeping on the couch in North Carolina. Told him this morning not to come home today if he can't tell me the damn truth on what the hell is wrong. Okay? So then there's another night in between. There's another night, and we don't know who slept where then. And then there's another night, the night before Shanann gets on the plane early in the morning. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't actually bring that to the Discovery. Shoot. Well, here it is if you want to see it. Oh, I just have the wrong view on. Sorry. Yeah. There we go. Thank you so much, moderators. You're great. Jody, Kez, and everybody. I really appreciate you guys. I know tonight's been a little rough. Oh, good. Stephanie loves it when I swear. Good, I guess. So that's what she said. So then there's another night we don't know who sleeps where. And then there's the night before Shanann leaves for her Thrive, banging on the drums, the Thrive trance, but it's a whole different topic, meeting or whatever it was in Arizona. And we know that the night before she left for Arizona, they sleep in bed together because Shanann talks about it in her letter to him. So we know it's being honest. She's not just telling someone else that. She's writing a letter to him talking about how nice it was that he let her hold him. I mean, and what just a freaking a-hole. But so all of this talk about sleeping in the bedroom and, we knew Chris worked out in there. That is bogus, period. So why is that talked about so much? And what does that mean as far as what we actually know or trying to figure out about the actual facts and not the fiction of this case? I have a lot more to say about that. I put some more pieces together for you. I have a little bit of a headache and I'm really tired, so I can't get into all of that tonight. Of course, I was planning to, but I always overplan. Hi, Pink. Nice to see you. And welcome to everybody who's coming. I'm so glad you guys are all here. And thank you for being here and for being you. Oh, yeah. Autumn Renee says, I'm texting from one couch to another. Bizarre. Shanann and Chris. Yeah, it was bad. That's how bad their communication was. Veronica says she trusts him so much even after all this and thought he was faithful. I know. It's disgusting. Hey, Dana Smith. How are you doing? Chat's been a little spicy tonight, so if your message or something does get erased, please don't be upset about that. It's just the moderators are doing their best, as they've said, and thank you guys so much. They're just protecting the channel. And there is a need for that because when I'm talking about the Watts case, this channel is always under fire. You guys don't even know the half of it. It's not your problem, but it's a fact. Okay. Hey, Loco Jazz Hands, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Let's see. Yeah, darn YouTube rules. Corn chips and wild kangaroos. Oh my gosh. It was a very long live stream last night. I was really tired today. Queens, New York. Thank you, Justice A through C. It's great to see you. I'm trying. Okay, so we're talking about animals anyway. So I'll go get the bunny. Let me see if there's something I can pop in while I'm gathering Mr. Squishy. I think that's what his name's going to be now, Mr. Squishy. Thank you for naming him, Stevie. We're officially going to name him Mr. Squishy. Here, I'll play a little more of this, the video that I put out recently having to do with the Dr. Phil content while I'm getting Mr. Squishy. Good job, Stevie. Mr. Squishy. For Shanann. Okay, so let's just talk about the time. I'm going to just play this little bit about the timing of the beginning of the communication with Kessinger and Watts, because man, when you know this and you put it all together, it's just like, damn, it's all so obvious.
As many of you know, Nicole Kessinger was a prolific internet searcher. In fact, she searched Chris Watts' name and Shanann Watts' names 9 or 10 months before she and Chris Watts claimed that they started dating or that they even met. While some people believe that those internet searches aren't real because some representative of the district attorney's office told somebody who inquired that those dates were a typo, District Attorney Rourke later confirmed that those internet searches that appeared in the discovery were in fact a result of the investigators' research. They were legitimate. I made a video about that too. You can find it in the Nicole Kessinger playlist or on its own. The link for that video, again, is in the description box. There are many other interesting facts regarding what Shanann posted on social media and what was going on with Chris and Nicole Kessinger. This includes the fact that,
guys, if you watch this video, I just posted it recently. Yeah, I talk about the Dr. Phil video being taken down, the timing, and it's insane, just like everything else with this case. I'm not going to go over it again right now, but just watch the video. And if you watch the video and in the beginning, in the first like 2 minutes, it seems like there's like a 45-second chunk missing. It's because there is. Because just a couple days ago, I got banged by Dr. Phil's Enterprise. So I had to trim it out because it's the only thing you can do after you post a video to YouTube. So sorry about that.
Shanann Watts started posting about her pregnancy June 9th, 2017. She posted about her pregnancy on June 10th, 11th, and 12th. The first email communication between Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger happens on when? June 12th. Again, Shanann posted about her pregnancy for the first time on June 9th. And the first communication between Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger is on June 12th, 2018. In fact, on June 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, 2018, on each of those days, there was a video posted to Facebook about Shanann's pregnancy. She was very excited. The video that shows Shanann telling Chris Watts about the pregnancy was posted on June 11th, 2018.
We did it. I like that shirt.
Just the chest.
That's awesome. Guess when you want to, it happens.
Guess what, girls? Guess what? TZ? There's a baby in mommy's.
I just want to say, oh, they're so cute. They're so freaking cute. I just want to say, Autumn Renee, it doesn't sound paranoid at all. That probably did happen if you think it did. Unfortunately, it's too bad.
Belly. Belly, your buddy. It's in mommy's belly, you silly. She's in my belly.
We go for our first ultrasound at 3-ish, 3:15. Hey, Bella, how many babies do I have in my belly?
5.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's a lot of babies.
It certainly is a coincidence that the first time Shanann posted about her pregnancy was on June 9th. Then again on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. And the first communication between Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger is on June 12th. In its discovery, the supervisor Anadarko that reported these emails said that these were the only email exchanges he could find between Kessinger and Chris Watts. So on the 12th, Nicole Kessinger kind of nudges Chris Watts through email by addressing his entire team with this email. Kessinger says, "Gentlemen, I spoke with my gas monitor vendor regarding your app access. Our account has been reset. Please continue to use the same credentials you were provided upon receiving your unit. Let me know if you continue to have issues or require anything further. Best regards, Nicole Kessinger." There are a total of 6 emails between Kessinger and Watts, and it is only on this day did the supervisor Anadarko find any email exchanges between the two. Nicole Kessinger says, "Chris, thank you for being honest with me this morning. Truthfulness is so underrated in our culture. Saludos cordiales, Nikki." You have to wonder what she's referring to. What was he being truthful about on June 12th, 2018. Let's go back to Dr. Phil to hear the final thing I want to focus on in this video from that season 3 episode of The Devil Beside Me.
Once news of Shannon's disappearance spread, Nicole had gone to police of her own free will to speak to them about her involvement with Chris. But was she a hero in this story? Or is it possible, like Shannon's parents believe to this day, that she tried to help Chris? And when it all started coming unraveled, when it all started hitting the wall, she got scared and bailed. Was she actually helping him and got cold feet and decided, save yourself, girl?
Well, listen to that one again.
But was she a hero in this story? Or is it possible, like Shannon's parents believe to this day, that she tried to help Chris?
Now, this whoopsie is critical because we know at this time Dr. Phil was in fact talking to Shanann Watts' family. And we also know that it's believed, based on what was said by the family and those around them, that at first they did believe that Nicole Kessinger had some responsibility and needed to be further investigated. And then all of a sudden their tune changed and no one really knows why. But this little soundbite here is proof positive that that was in fact the family's attitude, at least at first. So now we need to back up a little. Let's go back to November 19th, 2018. That was the date of Chris Watts' sentencing. This is District Attorney Rourke, the prosecutor for the charges against Chris Watts, speaking at the sentencing. Okay, so so this all circles back to what, and obviously I have Mr. Squishy here. You got a new name. We don't have to call you the corner bunny anymore. Corner bunny, squishy bunny. What are you doing, mister? Right here. What are you doing? He's like nibbling my shoulder. What are you doing? Are you hungry? You're trying to eat me? Oh, wait, here. Mr. Squishy, everybody wants to see you. Sit up straight. Sit up straight. You're on camera. Say hi. Just kidding. Oh. Little Mr. Squishy fish. Oh, his light. Let me block that light. You can see him a little better. There we go. Oh, see, I'm just going to bring your little squishy face over to the camera. Oh, okay, he looks a little scared. His little eyes. Oh, can you hear him? Let's see. Come here, Boo-Boo. Let's get you by the microphone. Oh, you need to straighten out, kiddo. Say hello to everybody. Say hello to everybody out there, mister. Mr. Squishy. You going to say anything? He was just making cute little noises, but he kind of stopped. Oh, those are scared noises, maybe. What is that? That's a microphone, Mr. Squishy? Say something. Tell him what your agenda is for the next term. No? Okay, that's fine. Oh. There we go. So, yeah, this is Mr. Squishy. I have bunnies, if you're new to the channel. He's so cute. I know, he is so squishy. Squishy is camera shy. Oh, come here. He's like, I don't usually really get out of my corner very much. We just call him Corner. We have 29 bunnies. We start trying names for him. We call him Corner Bunny because I was telling you he's one of the bunnies who his cage is a little smaller. So, I do let him run though. I'm very kind to my bunnies. They get a lot of love and they live a very good life. So he's in one of those cage situations where we just took the top right off. So it's basically just like a tray. And he never leaves it, and it's just in the corner of this room over here. So we call him Corner Bunny. But now he's Mr. Squishy, which is such a better name for him. Mr. Squishy. You cannot adopt Mr. Squishy. I have other bunnies that look a little like him. That if you were local and you didn't have any crazy dogs or anything with you, and I checked all your references, I would let you adopt because I have too many bunnies. He's very clean. I clean, oh my God, you have no idea how much time I spend a week cleaning bunny cages. So you see why I get tired sometime. I have my, career job. Then I have my YouTube channel, which takes up a lot of time. I haven't been spending as much time on nearly as I did just a few months ago, but I will again. But then I have to clean 29 bunny cages all the time. And then, I have this giant ass house and I'm a single mom. Like, life is very busy. Oh yeah, he's so sweet. Oh, you just get a little. Did you not like that? I know. I found yesterday. He's got like this little spot here that, and I told him I was gonna
examine him after I did. I'm going to do it today for sure. He's got like a little, it almost feels like he's got like a pulled muscle or something. I don't know. I'm sorry, baby. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you, Mr. Squish. Do you like your new name? Do you like your friends? Say hi to Stevie. Stevie named you. Oh, Mr. Squishy getting all scared. It's okay, Bobo. It's okay, Bobo. Oh, I call like they do this. They tuck right under your chin when they get scared. They just want cover. Mr. Squishy's great. Oh, a 24/7 bunny cam. It would get really boring at times, I think. I don't know. They do little bunny activities though. 24-hour bunny live stream. Oh my God. Maybe that's going to be my next channel. It'll be a hell of a lot less work than this one. Oh my gosh. Oh. Let's see. Yeah, Mr. Squishy works. I like it. You would subscribe to a bunny channel? That could be interesting. That could be. I do love animals so much. I mean, ridiculously. I've told you guys, many of you guys, I became a vegetarian at like 13 and do not judge anybody for their dietary habits. I mean, if like you eat preservatives all the time, I might tell you I would rather see you be a little more healthy, but I really don't judge. But just for me, I just have always loved animals so much. I used to remember when I was like a kid, school, you'd get milk, and even drinking the milk, I'd be like, ooh, it just, I don't know, it just never felt right to me. That's all. That's just me. Autumn Renee says he looks like a model bunny. Bet you can take the best Easter pics. Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh my God. Some of my bunnies had babies when I was breeding my cute little Vienna Marcal Lops, which I do not do anymore because it's just top of everything else I do. And also I just didn't feel good about giving away bunnies that I wasn't 100% sure they were going to have a good life and a good home. I did my best to make sure they did, but I just didn't feel like it was a good thing for me to do. Anyway, oh my God! And I take pictures of them when they were just so little, teeny tiny. I'll post them on my community page in the next couple of days. They are the freaking. I mean, I don't know how you could see them and not be like, I need to have that bunny. They're just so goddamn cute. Oh, I love Cece. I love Cece too. Let's see. So, okay. Are you sure you can have them there, Kezchik? So what did you tell me? I had heard before. So what's the thing about Australian bunnies? I remember when I was, teaching with this one teacher, was teaching a living environment class, and we were just talking about, ecosystems and I don't know, but we were talking about adaptive evolution essentially. And long story short, the impression I was left with is that you can't have bunnies on Australia because the way that they disrupt the balance, essentially. Shh. Cover your big bunny ears if it hurts your feelings, okay, Mr. Squishy? Don't take it personal. No, we're not in Australia. We're in the United States, okay? But that lesson's going to be sometime next week. You don't need to know about that yet. And then I think it was McJay said one time when we were doing a bunny break, she said something about, we can't have bunnies in Australia. But then last night, Kez said, no, I think in some part you can, because I was saying that bunnies are outlawed in Australia, just picking on all, because many of our moderators are from Australia, are Australian. And, we have our bunnies and our Australian friends and family. So, yes, the bunny channel, maybe it's an idea. Yeah, I know it'll be a lot less controversial, right? Won't have to worry about people threatening to sue me and kill me, hopefully. Jesus. No, they don't blink much. No, they don't blink too much. And it's funny because some of our bunnies, especially now, I don't have any super young bunnies. They're all probably at least a year old. Yeah, because I, instated the very strict no reproduction rule with concrete walls between bunnies of different sexes. It's hard to do. It's hard to make them not reproduce. You're like, how did you do that? How did you get pregnant? I have no idea what happened. It just happens. But they don't really sleep. I can't remember what the word is. It starts with a C. And it's not that they're nocturnal, and it's not that they are, like us and are generally over mammals, most mammals. Us, at least. Let's go with humans. I'm a little too tired to think this through any further. Mostly awake during the day and asleep at night. It starts with a C, and what it means is that they are most active at dawn and dusk. And it's so true. Like, I'm so used to it now, but, there was a time when, before I wanted to get up, just as the sun was starting to come up to the horizon, you just hear all these bunnies scurrying around. And they just do these little sprints and stuff and just kind of like bug out and like make a lot of noise. They get super active for just a very short time. And then they just kind of sit there. And then they do their little like, bunny activities. They're very busy cleaning themselves. They like to be clean. They're like, they like, the reasons they chew things, like we were talking about, somebody was saying, oh, bunnies chew all my cords and stuff, is that their teeth just keep growing. They need to like file their teeth down on things, or else they have problems that actually can cause infections in their mouth and kill them. They're very smart. They know how to take care of themselves, and they spend a lot of time doing it. That's basically what the bunny activities are. So, Mr. Squishy, okay, he's a little shaky. It's like he's a little nervous. You all right, Bum Bum? Mr. Squishy, you good boy. You good boy. How's your ears doing, Mr. Squishy? Looks good to me. You're doing a very good job keeping yourself clean with your bunny activities. True crime with Kelly and Mr. Squishy. I love it. Yes, you're very welcome. No need to breed more bunnies. Yes. Oh, I don't want to know that. No. Sorry. Thank you. But no, thank you, kind Colorado. I don't want to know about bunnies being used for it. Cover your big bunny ears again. Everybody cover all of your big bunny ears. You don't want to hear this. I do not want to know about bunnies being tested for cosmetics. It's horrible. Let's see. Okay. Autumn Renee says, Australia has an insane ecosystem. It's amazing. I'm sure, like, gorgeous. Like, well, to me, they seem like exotic animals because I don't live there, but yeah. Yeah, I like to think he loves me, but I think he might also just be holding on for dear life. Bunnies are very nervous little animals. He loves me. Do you love me, Mr. Squishy? Mr. Squishy, do you love me? Yes, I do. Bunnies are very nervous animals. They know that, if I wasn't protecting all of them, and giving them shelter, they're like, everything in nature wants to eat a bunny, and they know it. They're like really low on in the food chain like that. They are predators of nothing other than grass, hay, and carrots, and everything wants to eat a bunny. So sad. Oh, wait. So Kez asked the answer. Let me try to find that. What'd she say? Okay, so bunnies are outlawed in Australia except for South Australia. Okay. So there's the answer on that. Okay, I'll have to tell my teacher friend that. Yeah, bunnies probably wouldn't pair well there with all the spiders and snakes and stuff. Yes. My son just said to me, I think we were talking about our Australian friends here on the channel, and my son was like, I would not want to live in Australia. I didn't think I'd want to visit there. It's like, seems beautiful. Why not? He's like, spiders and snakes. Okay, I get it. Mm-hmm. Dr. Phil won't strike the bunnies. He might, but probably not. Oh my gosh. Yes, they do get pregnant from across the room. I swear to God, they do. I've had bunnies get pregnant where I'm literally like, I have no idea how it happened. There's no male bunnies around. There's no male bunnies in the room. I honest to God, it's true story. Yeah. So what is normal size bunny? Like bigger or smaller than like, well, Mr. Squishy, I mean, he's all fluff. He is so much smaller than he looks on this camera. He's probably about 4 pounds. Oh, Peta or Peta, I'm not sure how to say that. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Tell me how to say your name. Says in Western Australia, you can have them. I bought one for my niece. They're considered a pest in country areas. Okay, cool. Maybe they get pregnant through staring at each other without blinking, something like that. Yeah, this binky when they like jump up. They're so cute. Yeah, they binky and flop. That's what bunnies do. They binky and flop. Those are some of their other little bunny activities. Oh, my dog's name is Honey. I call her Honey Bunny, like our Honey Bunny here. We used to have 2 bunnies, Cadbury and Thumper Cadbury. That's cute. Yeah, my first 2 bunnies are Buddy and Thumper. Thumper is a girl. She was supposed to be spayed, but she wasn't. And that's how all this bunniness started. And the reason I got bunnies is our last dog was a giant schnauzer. And when I say giant, I mean giant. And this dog, I paid so much money for this dog. She was supposed to be a purebred, but everybody who's a professional interacted with her said that she must have been inbred because this dog was fucking nuts. So unfortunately, it broke my heart. Her name was Chrissy. My son named her when he was like 4. He wanted to name her Chrissy. So her name was Chrissy, and I ended up. They love snow. You know, they're from Russia. They really love snow. This dog, when it's, oh my God, she was just in heaven when it snowed around here. She's like, yay! It's like mother's puppy wound or doggy boom. Oh hi. Oh, do you want to say hi now, Mr. Squish? You want to say hi to our friends, Mr. Squish? Or are you just getting a little uncomfortable? No, I don't know. I'm feeling a little shy, Mama. I'm gonna just tuck my head in your neck. You know, I ended up giving her to a family up in Canada, which is like way north of me, where it's like snowing all the time. I got bloody from my nose now. And literally, it's a couple. Literally, the husband runs marathons, and he literally takes her on his training runs. She has run marathons with him before. This is how much energy that dog had. So she's so much happier now. It broke my heart to give her up. It was horrible, but she was so much work and so high energy. I exercised her and walked her and played her and oh my God, like all the time. It was like another full-time job. So then after Chrissy, I was like, we're not getting another dog, as much as I love dogs. So, but you know, I love animals. So what are we going to get? Oh, we're going to get a bunny. We're going to get a bunny. We're going to get one bunny, a pet bunny. No, we're going to have lots of bunnies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they also breed like rabbits. Right. All right. Immaculate bunny conception. Oh, you guys are so funny. I love it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I am going to have to get going because I'm so tired. But we will convene again. I'll probably do another watch stream sometime next week, late next week. You know, we are in verdict watch for the Delphi case. If anybody wants a recap of everything that happened in the Delphi trial, I uploaded a video just yesterday that covers every important thing that was done every day. It's about 2 hours long. It covers a whole damn trial. It's a really good video. It took me a long time to make. Nobody's watching it. Watch it, like it, and share it. And find out what happened in the Delphi case. Because let's find out what the verdict is. Do you have some thoughts about the Delphi case, Mr. Squishy? I think Mr. Squishy would like to speak about the Delphi case. Let's see, Mr. Squishy. Would you like to say something? Do you think that Richard Allen is guilty or innocent? Okay, well, next question. He's not sure. Do you think that the prosecution proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt? And we're talking human standards, not like bunny thoughts. He's not sure because he's a bunny. Okay, fair enough. All right, we'll talk about this privately. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm going crazy. Whoops. Okay, cool. All right, everybody. Love you so much, and remember, life is hard for everybody and for bunnies especially. So please be nice to each other. Thank you for being good in chat for the most part today. And thank you more than anything, moderators. You're amazing. Subscribers, members, people who are just out there in the rafters watching. Subscribe. You might want to come back. And if you're one of those people who's like stalking me and trolling me, you definitely should at least subscribe. Like, hook a sister up. If you're going to make my life hell otherwise, you can at least hit that subscribe button. You know who you are. I know who some of you are too. I figured it out. Always figuring it out. Don't really care, but you know, sometimes you have to take action. So please take good care of yourself because you deserve it. And I might do a live stream tomorrow night because I have Monday off, but I'm not sure yet. But I will try. If I do, I'll try to post it sometime in the afternoon, New York time, like by 4, let's say. So be looking for that if you're interested. If you don't get the notifications, please email me at whatsobsession@gmail.com. I have an email list. I email before live stream. Sometimes it's 20 minutes before, sometimes it's a few hours before, sometimes it's the morning of that evening, but at some point you'll get an email. And I promise you, if you want to be on that list and you give me your email to put you on that list, you will never receive another email from me for any other reason. Anybody who's on that list can attest to that. I definitely do not want to spam you or bother you or anything, but I just do want you to know when we are convening here for live stream so you can be part of the chat and discussion and participate in all that if you want to, because YouTube doesn't really hook it up for me like that much these days. No, thanks YouTube. Once again, yep, that's right. He is, I know, he's super fluffy. Wish I could play an outro, but you know, YouTube changed its terms and conditions for music licensing, so all that went down the tube. The hours and hours of work, and I don't like to say how much I spend on things, but a lot of money worth of dollars. Thank you. So for that reason, I'm so sorry. Oh wait, hold it. Maybe this is one that doesn't have music. Let's see. If not, you're gonna have to listen to NK on the way out and blame YouTube.
Whatever happened to him is acted pure evil.
Sorry, that will demonetize my whole live stream.
It's me. I guess just call me back when you have a chance. Hi. Hi. It's me. I miss your face. I was just calling to say hi. Call me back.
Thank you so much for coming out here with me, Christopher. I am having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you're having a blast. I am so out of breath.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm really trying to help you guys. I need you guys to help me too. Like,
Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
do this as a team, but just don't.
So
fucking let me down,
the
please.
reason why we can't, like, I did think about this yesterday, that I would like to sit down with you once we have your text messages and the phone calls, and we can put them in some type of easily looking, that we can sit down and look at them and compare them, and we can kind of get the context of how everything was going that night. I would like to do that with you. Unfortunately, so the download that we got yesterday is going to take multiple days to be analyzed. I probably won't have it back till next week. And then because you guys did have so many text messages, one of my analysts is working on getting those in order, so we can put something together where we can actually sit down and discuss it. But I do think that's something that I want to do in the near future, sometime probably next week.
I mean, I can do that. I don't mind giving you guys my time. I just need you guys to like help me with my employer and try to just help me brace for this media thing.
I'm with you. We definitely need to accelerate the case, because the more it takes, the less sure that they are of situations.
He murdered her. She's out of the picture. You're never going to know if she was pregnant. If he can get away with murder, you're not going to. I got divorced from my wife. You say, do you understand what I'm saying here? If she's gone,
But this.
Don't lead.
Hypothetically.
Please.
Yeah.
Don't
Hypothetically.
lead
If she, you understand where I'm going. If
Right,
you
but you're-
didn't know,
You're leading into questions that are nothing with your.
if you didn't know though,
Wait, Nick.
that she was there.
Did you hear what I said?
I'm following you.
Stop asking about it. She didn't have anything to do with it. She wasn't there that morning. She voluntarily cooperated with law enforcement. She provided us all the information. I'm not going to tell you where she's at. Stop. Leave me alone.
Bye, guys. Everyone, take care. I'll see you soon.